Hello, all you people who love oceanic art and the pop Tiki culture, which imagines itself a Polynesian paradise or a South Pacific paradise that never quite existed except in our own minds. This is a video about dangerous pallet wood, but I thought I'd start out with something more fun. This is a figure, one of my oceanic art pieces that I've collected over the years. And this is a figure made from the wood on a Pacific atoll called Ngulu. Now this is comprised of 3 separate islands that are probably situated around a sunken volcanic island. This is part of the Yap Federation. Now this is a female figure, and I'm just going to turn her. You can see she has female anatomy here. And the reason you would think it comes from Ngulu is because of the triangular face and these distinctive eyebrows. Actually, the eyebrows and the pupils of the eyes are made from boiling down certain tree saps into a tarry substance. Now, going back to the history of Micronesia, because of course this is one of the island areas that's part of Micronesia. Micronesia means many small islands. Before World War I, the Germans controlled Micronesia, and they were basically interested in sending missionaries there to convert the natives, these pagan natives, into good little Lutherans like the Germans. But after Germany lost World War I, there was an international council, and they appointed Japan as sort of a protectorate of Micronesia. Now, Micronesia didn't need anyone protecting it. The people had lived on the islands for so many years. They didn't need this colonialism. But that's the way it was. So Japan took control of the island. Now, the German missionaries, they didn't want to see these little carvings and idols and things that the people on the islands carved. So the people kind of put that in the background and didn't bring out these things when the German missionaries were there. But when the Japanese came, they were interested in starting some plantations of coconut, sugarcane, and other things that could be grown on these islands. So the Japanese, they actually wanted to buy certain carvings that the islanders made, and they brought along steel tools, files, sandpaper, better chisels, and gave them to the islanders so the islanders could finish the figures in a better fashion, according to the Japanese. If you find a figure, one of these squatting figures that has a lot of chisel marks on it, or it's not smoothed out, it's generally an older one. Now, there are not very many figures from this island, trio of islands, this atoll called Ngulu. A lot of the figures come from a place called Pallet. This figure could be as far back as the 1920s, and I'm just going to shift them around so you can see the back side of them. This figure could be as far back as the 1920s. More likely, he's from the 30s. That would still be the Japanese period. Or he could be from right after World War II and could have been brought home by a serviceman that was stationed somewhere out there. The Japanese, of course, lost control after World War II, and Micronesia was taken over again. One of the countries was the United States. I think Great Britain might have been part of it as well. And as we get into the 1950s and 60s, figures on different islands were being carved mostly for the tourist trade. There were either stationed soldiers, sailors that were stationed out there. Later on in the 60s, a lot of Peace Corps members brought back figures, and then the art died out, and now you probably can go and buy a souvenir that's a t-shirt or a keychain made in China or Indonesia. I'll give you a closer look at this figure. And he's made from a very hard wood. I should say she's made from a very hard wood. A lot of the figures from Micronesia are in this squatting position. Now, there's no clear reason of why they're made with a squatting position with their hands on their knees. One of the theories is that when people died on some of these islands, they would give them a canoe burial, and they would put the body in a canoe and send it out into the ocean. That was the burial. And sometimes they believe that they would send along a carved figure, and that would be sort of a spirit protector of the body. And what better way to make a figure that will not fall over quickly than to have it in a squatting position. If you made one that was standing upright, it would be very unstable and would tip over. So we really don't know. The people that live on the islands in Micronesia, either they know but they don't want to share the information, or maybe they don't know either, and it was just something that was done and the original meaning was lost to time. So here's our little Ngulu squatting figure, and I'm going to move on now to the dangerous pallet wood. I salvaged some pallets, but before I can use them, I need to do some checking on markings. And this is a mistake some people make that use pallet wood. They don't realize that they could be putting themselves in great danger. Okay, we have this symbol. This is a International Plant Protection Convention symbol. That means this pallet could be going overseas. The U.S., of course, is it's made in the United States. Each country has a 2-letter code. HT means this was heat treated. And I can't quite tell what that is there. Okay, here's another one. The symbol for the International Convention to keep plants safe. HT is heat treated. I believe that's a U.S. symbol. Now, the one symbol that indicates something very dangerous is an MB. If you see an MB on any pallet, it stands for methyl bromide, which is a very poisonous and dangerous substance. A lot of times it's on the end, but sometimes you're going to find markings on the middle. So you really have to look all over the whole pallet. Now this pallet here, the marking is on the inside here. And we have that international symbol for the plant protection. And we have CA. Now I'd have to look that up. I'm thinking that means Canada. Okay, but I'm not. I see HT, heat treated. And this over here, which hard to make it out. I'll have to look that one up too. It looks like a Q at the end. C something, CIPQ. Take a look and I'll look that up and see what that means. But we don't see the methyl bromide, which is a bad one. Remember I said if you see a MB on your pallet, you don't want to use it, you don't want to touch it, and you don't want to burn it either. Another bad one you might see is SF. If you see an SF, That's sulfuryl fluoride, and that's another bad chemical. These chemicals are used to treat the wood so it kills any insect larvae or insects that are in the wood, but they're very dangerous chemicals. It's much better to have these heat treated where they heat up the wood to a certain temperature that will kill any insect larvae or insects that are in the wood. Here's another one. Okay, this GMA. That's a grocery, I'm not saying grocery something association. If you see this GMA on a pallet, it means this pallet was okay to use for food products, and that means it should not have been treated with anything dangerous because it could have been loading crates of fruit or different food things, boxes, crates full of boxes full of noodles, whatever. So that's a good sign to see a GMA on your pallet. All these pallets that I have that we got are generally lighter colored pallets, and that's actually a good thing. It doesn't mean that they're safe, but I have seen videos of people that are building, some of these guys, they go out and get pallets and they're building dining room tables and wine racks and all these things, and they have these pallets that are very dark wood that look really rustic looking, but that can also be an indication if your pallet has really dark wood that it's been treated with dangerous chemicals that have turned the wood dark. So now you need to just know what you're getting into here. This pallet has markings on the other side, but let's just say it didn't have any markings at all, and you looked everywhere and there are no missing pieces. That could indicate that it's made in the United States for local use, and there's no need to put any markings on it. That it was made by a company, say in the Midwest, and it's just being used in the Midwest for companies in the Midwest. So having okayed these pallets, that they would seem very likely to be safe to use. But let's also remember that a pallet might be made of wood that's safe. However, who knows where it's been sitting? It could be sitting on warehouse floors or in semi-trucks that could have had chemicals leaked onto the floor. So you really don't know 100% for sure that your pallet hasn't come into contact with anything like that. But for what I'm using it for, the back of this Tiki case, I'm going to use it for the back, and we'll see how we put that on. I don't think it's going to be a problem, and it'll be some free wood to finish this project. And I need 26 pieces in all, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get 26 pieces out of these pallets because some of them have splits in them, and some of them we might wreck getting the ends off because it's very easy to split the wood when you're trying to remove this piece from the end, because the nails are so close to the end of the wood, it's easy to split. It's harder to split the wood when you're removing it in this area in the middle. this thing can't be used because it's got all these little rivets in here. These are iron rivets that go through one side. I'm assuming they put them in to strengthen this board. Now some of these have nails, which I can just take over and take it over to the workbench, put it up where it has a lot of a weight on the back of it, like the edge of a table, and nail these out with a hammer. And other ones of these have the nail heads driven deep in, and when it was taken off, the nails busted off. So I'll have to use like a punch press type thing and hammer them out a little bit so I can get the heads and pull them out. So we've got the ends embedded here. So I'm just going to take that and put it right on the edge of a table or a workbench. And I just got a little old file with a tip on it like this. You can use a little punch press thing. And generally a couple of knocks I found sends it right out the other side. Okay, well I've come up with about 15 usable ones here with all the nails removed. And they're different colors, but I'm going to be sanding them down a little bit. And I don't care if they're mismatched a bit. It's fine. If the one's a little wider than the other and sticks out, it's fine. So I got 15 there. And even some that were split a little bit on the ends here. I put some wood glue on them and clamped them so I can use that. This isn't some kind of load-bearing wood, so it doesn't really matter. It can be glued. It's just going to be the background. And I've got about 10 more in this pile of pallets that I hopefully can get off. Now in this case, these are shorter, so they cannot just be sawed right here because I can't lose that end. So there's two choices here. Either get a Sawzall and borrow it from someone and cut in between the two pieces of wood and cut right through the nails. I also ended up with some nice pieces here from the ends. I took all the nails out. This is pretty heavy wood. I'm thinking this is not pine, that this is more like oak. It's a very heavy wood, and it's pretty clean, and it hasn't been done, nothing's been done to it except heat treating it.